Tonight on Fourth and a Mile, we discuss where's LeBron going after the season, which is pretty much right now. We're watching hockey, and maybe the Caps will win their first ever Stanley Cup. And, a long week for Cardinals fans. So stay tuned, everybody. This is going to be a fun one. Oh, and I'm also going to give my review on Solo because I bashed it last time. So stay tuned. Welcome in, everybody, and it doesn't look like my computer issues have at all ceased to exist. They're stronger than ever. But welcome in, everybody. Welcome in to the show that will not end. Although it's a lot harder to record nowadays than it was just a few weeks ago. But it still will not end. This is Fourth and a Mile, presented by Planet Adam. I am your host, the Pharaoh or God King of Planet Adam. I am Adam Fernandez, and I want to welcome everybody that's watching. We've got Terry Costas in the house tonight so far. Let's try to get some more people on in here, guys. We've got a lot to talk about tonight. First off, I'm going to let y'all know right now we are currently watching the Stanley Cup Finals. This is Game 5. Right now, the Vegas Golden Knights, who are in their first year of existence. They trail the series 3-1, but they are leading Game 5 right now 3-2, getting ready to start the third period. I am rooting for the Capitals. I have been a Capitals fan for a few years now. Started back in 2008 when I went up to DC to hang out with my younger brother, because he's definitely not my little brother. My younger brother, and I became a Capitals fan ever since then. He lives in the DC area. So anyways, we're going to be watching that while I discuss everything else that I wanted to talk about in sports today. So let's get to it. But first, guys, do not forget, go over to bandcamp.com. That is bandcamp.com. Check out my homies, Matt Hutton, Jocelyn Gonzalez, and their awesome fucking band, A Bloody Chasm. They are really... Oh, come on, get it out of there. Okay, they are... Sorry. They are a really cool rock and roll band. If you guys like hardcore rock and roll, heavy metal, or as Jocelyn called it one time, spooky metal, you guys will actually really love these guys. Very cool band. They are the band that does the intro music to this show. That song is called I Wanna Rock and Roll, but they got several other songs on there. And all you got to do is donate a little money. And you donate a little money, you get to download all the songs you want. So, all right, we got Sharon in the house tonight too as well. Let's get this show underway. Again, right now we are watching the Capitals and the Golden Knights of Las Vegas in Game 5 of the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm rooting for the Capitals. They've been around for 40 plus years and never even been to the Stanley Cup Finals. And they're playing the Las Vegas Golden Knights, who are in their very first year of existence, so they've never been to the Stanley Cup Finals either. But they've been to the Stanley Cup Finals 100% of the time, I guess. Right now, yes, the Capitals are up 3-1, but right now here in Game 5, they are down 3-2. So we're going to keep our eye on this. If you guys are watching at home, watch along with me. If you're not watching at home, what the hell else are you doing tonight, man? It's a Thursday night. I hope everyone out there is having a great Thursday night. But let's get the show on the road. I'm just shooting from the hip. I did not take any notes tonight, so if I start bumbling my words, I apologize, but there's a reason why, and that's the reason why. But let's face it, the NBA season is over. Unless the Cavaliers can pull a miraculous miraculous comeback, being down 3-0 when they have really not even looked remotely good in any of the games that they've played. This season is over. This series is over. The Warriors are once again the NBA champions. So, what that means is free agency is about to roll around. And with free agency, the biggest free agent of them all, the most prized free agent, and this is a very grainy picture of him, is, of course, there we go, the best player in the game today, LeBron James. If you don't believe that he's the best player in the game, then come on, computer. If you don't believe he's the best player in the game, then I guess you just haven't watched too much basketball. Yes, he is very much the very best player in the game, by far away, bar none. Let me know, guys, it doesn't look choppy on my phone, but it looks choppy on my computer. Is the sound or the camera, is it being choppy? If so, let me know. Please let me know, because I kind of need to know this stuff, and I'm kind of going between just two sources, and I can't keep my eye on both if I want to look at the camera. Anyways, so everyone is asking, where is LeBron going? My buddy Anthony, who I told, watch the show tonight, and I'll explain why I think he's going to go where I think he's going to go. But Anthony believes he's going to be going to Golden State. I don't see that happening. I think Golden State is very content where they are, especially if they're able to re-sign Kevin Durant, which I think they will. I don't think that there's any chance of Kevin Durant going anywhere, period. He's going to stay in Golden State. Going to stay up there in San Francisco. And so they're content. They know they don't need LeBron. They know that they can beat LeBron. But there is a team that almost beat Golden State this year, who would very much benefit from getting the very best player in the game, and that is the Houston Rockets. They would very much benefit from it. They can pay him one hell of a salary. That's not saying that he's going to be the highest paid player in the game. Let me go back to everyone seeing me, because I'm just far prettier than LeBron. Anyways, not saying that they're going to make him the richest player in the game, but they can pay him a pretty hefty salary. He would already be there with James Harden and Chris Paul. Like I said, I'm watching the hockey game too, so if I kind of zone out, that's why. Anyways, Houston is the best place for LeBron. Period. Point blank. They could use him to beat the Warriors. He wants to beat the Warriors. And if he can beat the Warriors, then he's pretty much got his golden ticket to another NBA championship. He's not going to the Spurs. To all you Spurs fans out there, he is not going to the Spurs because he knows that he won't have total control of the team like he would in Houston, like he does currently with Cleveland. He knows that Greg Popovich would be still the guy in charge. Greg Popovich is, I still think that he's either in his last year, or, well, either this was his last year or next year will be his last year. But that's one too many years that LeBron's not in control of a team for him to go to that team. He's not going to the Spurs. I don't see him going to Philadelphia, which is another pick that a lot of people have for him. I don't think he's going to go there because they have a good young team, but by him going there, you pretty much have to bench Joel Embiid. I don't see that happening. I know that the Sixers would love to get him over there, but then what are you going to do with Embiid? So I think Houston is the perfect place for him. I think he will have control over Mark D'Antonio. Or, yeah. Or, did I say... Anyways. He will have total control of the team just like he does in Cleveland right now. Just like he did in Miami when he was in Miami. He is going to have that total control. So I very much expect him to be going to Houston simply because he can win a title there. He can beat the Warriors there. And he can beat the Warriors and still play in the finals and not have to worry about beating the Warriors again. So LeBron, the best player in the game, will be going to Houston. I can't say I have no doubt of it, but I have very little doubt of that. Next year you will see LeBron James as a Houston Rocket. Does anybody disagree with me? Anybody agree with me? Anybody think that I'm a dumbass for saying so? Oh, that was almost a goal. Again, I'm watching the Caps and Golden Knights. Kind of want to call them the Las Vegas Golden Showers just for some reason. Anyways, so yes, that is my take on LeBron. He is going to be a Houston Rocket next year. So let's get into some baseball. First off, oh man, I forgot to put the picture of the girl on here. There was a girl the other night it was in San Diego that caught a foul ball in her cup of beer and then proceeded to chug down said cup of beer. I can't pull her up right now just because I'd have to mess around with the computer and I don't want to do that right now while I got you guys on here. I'll show her picture later on Facebook. Anyways, I saw this girl, not a bad looking girl at all. She chugged down the beer. She caught a foul ball. My only question, is she single? Because that is my future wife right there. Or future ex-wife, because I don't see myself ever being able to be married for more than a year. But, yes, that is the woman of my dreams right there. She can catch a foul ball. She can chug down a beer. She enjoys baseball. And she's hot. Those are the 4 qualities that I think every guy should look for in a woman. Period. So let's go ahead and talk about the Cardinals now. For those of you who don't know by now, I am a staunch St. Louis Cardinal fan. That's why I got the picture of Yadier Molina sitting right here, the best catcher in the history of baseball. If anybody can tell me that there was a better catcher, tell me who it is, and I'll tell you why you're wrong. Don't say Johnny Bench, because Johnny Bench was not nearly as good of a defensive catcher as Yadier Molina. He was good, not saying that he wasn't, but his percentage of throwing guys out, trying to steal, not as high, not even close to being as high as Yadier Molina. So, no, Johnny Bench is not a better catcher than, or was not a better catcher than Yadier Molina. So, anyways, speaking of Yadier Molina, he and Carlos Martinez both came back from the DL. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and put that off for a couple of minutes because I want to talk about someone else that came back from the DL. The number 1 prospect in St. Louis, Alex Reyes, at the beginning of last season, not even at the beginning of last season, during spring training last year, he ended up tearing some ligaments in his elbow, thus causing him to need Tommy John surgery. That's what Tommy John surgery is. They repair the ligaments by putting in ligaments from another part of the elbow, I think, or somewhere else up in the arm. And they replace those torn ligaments with the new ligaments. And typically, 9 times out of 10, it's actually seemed to be very successful. A lot of guys come back and are better pitchers after getting the Tommy John surgery than they were before they had the Tommy John surgery. And Alex Reyes only pitched, if I remember right, he only pitched in 20 games, and of those 20 games, I think only 6 or 7 of those were starts back in 2016. But he looked every bit the phenom that he was supposed to be. He was throwing right around 100 miles an hour. His accuracy was amazing. He was a very good young pitcher. And then, like I said, last year, he went ahead and tore his elbow. Again, guys, if you guys are still here and watching, let me know if the video or the audio are choppy, so that way I know that I need to fix something. So just let me know, guys. Anyways, so when you're out for Tommy John surgery, you're typically out for a year and a half. They were expecting him to be back in May this year. He came back at the very end of May. They put him right into the rotation, which I did not agree with. I said, and you can ask my little brother, you can ask my father, you can ask anybody that heard me talk about this. I said that they need to bring him out of the bullpen, let him pitch an inning or two a game, at most. Give him some days off too, just to get him his feel back, and then possibly put him in the rotation in the second half of the season. That's pretty much exactly what I said. And they didn't do that. They went ahead and started him. Now, during the start, they took him out in the fourth inning. Now, I think I told you guys about this last week when I was doing the show, that after that 4 innings, they went ahead and pulled him because they thought he had a bit of a injury in his lat. Again, I'm still not sure what the lat is. I think it's somewhere right in here. If there's anybody in the medical field watching right now, let me know. Y'all are better with anatomy than I am. I'm good with the law, not good with anatomy. And I'm great with sports. So, just saying. Anyways, so they pulled him because of that. And it turns out that he had a massive lat strain. So he went and had surgery, and guess what? He's out for the rest of the year. That is very indicative of the way that the Cardinals have run the organization as of late. I said during spring training that come the All-Star break, if the Cardinals are hovering around 500, maybe a little bit above, maybe a little bit below, then I would call. Now, granted, I don't have, much say in the way the Cardinals do things, but I would call for the termination of Mike Matheny, of John Mozeliak, of anybody who I think has brought this organization down from being the best organization in sports, say about 5 or 6 years ago, to being what they are now, and that's extremely mediocre at best. That's exactly what the Cardinals have been this year. Mediocre at best. They've had some guys that were supposed to produce offensively that did not. And then when the guys that had been producing offensively get hurt, which has happened quite a bit, then that's when the other guys step up. And even then, they're really not stepping up to being at the same level that they're supposed to be at. They are not performing as well as they could or they should. They were making a big deal about it when Marcell Ozuna hit 2 home runs in 2 games the other night. But since then, he's pretty much been back to Marcell Ozuna's from the rest of the year, which is a base hit here, a base hit there. He was brought in because of the power numbers that he had last year. 37 home runs, hitting behind Giancarlo Stanton. I said at the beginning of the season, I don't expect him to get 37 home runs this year because he's not hitting behind Giancarlo Stanton. He's hitting behind virtually no power. That's why he was brought in, because he was supposed to bring power. I said he was not the power of the Miami Marlins. That was Giancarlo Stanton. He benefited from hitting behind Giancarlo Stanton. And so far this year, he's proved me right. 5 home runs this year. 5. Paul DeYoung, who is the usual starting shortstop, who got a bit of a fight going on there. A little bit of a scrum. There's 10.5 left to go in the game. Capitals are still down 3-2. Anyways, so where was I? Yes, so Ozuna has 5 home runs this year. Paul DeYoung, who has now missed 3-4 weeks now, he's at 10 home runs this year. And he's not going to be back for a while. How much do you want to bet that when he comes back, he still has more home runs than Marcell Ozuna? He's coming back from surgery on his hand because he broke his hand. So he might not be back until August or September. I still think he will have more home runs than Marcell Ozuna at that time. It would not surprise me. And again, that just goes to show that the Cardinals aren't really interested in bringing in great players. They're interested in trying to show fans that they can bring in great players who end up being flops, i.e. Dexter Fowler. Dexter Fowler's been nothing but a flop since he's been in St. Louis. So, now I will say this. They have made some great leaps with guys like Miles Michaelis, who, again, today, he didn't shut out the Marlins. He pitched 7 shutout innings, and then in the 8th inning, the Marlins were able to get a run. So they have... Oh! Capitals tie it up! 3-3 in the third period. Their first Stanley Cup on the line. Of course, like I said, it's Vegas's first Stanley Cup too, being that this is their first year of ever being around. So I'm keeping my eye on it. So if I look like I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying, there's a reason why, because I am watching hockey right over here. So anyways. So, yes, again, the Cardinals are right now at a state of mediocrity that they don't appear to be even trying to get out of. According to some sources, Reyes actually had that lat injury in his last spring training game, or got it during his last spring training game, or not spring training game, I'm sorry, rehab game down in AAA. And he didn't tell Mike Matheny or anybody in Cardinal management about it. That could very much be the truth, but at the same time, this is the same game where he struck out the first 9 batters that he faced and didn't give up a single run in that whole game. He only pitched, I think, 5 or 6 innings, but was pretty much unhittable. So, is it possible that he started having that injury then? Yes. Why did the organization not know? And Matheny today went on the record talking about how frustrated he was with his players because they're not being honest with the team about their injuries. But still, I've got to say, why aren't you asking about said injuries? By the way, this is Alex Reyes right there. He actually, this one game that he pitched this year, he was a lot thinner. He looked in great shape. Looked like he was going to have a phenomenal comeback year. But that's all gone to waste. So Matheny makes those remarks today, and I've got to say again, Matheny, if you don't know your guys are injured, what the fuck kind of manager are you? Again, he needs to go. The obvious choice to take over the organization, to take over as manager, is already there in Jose Oquendo. He should have gotten the job over Matheny to begin with in 2012, but they gave it to Matheny, who had never managed a single game of baseball at any level, including Little League. You gave him the reins, and he's the one that's made it a mediocre organization. Jose Oquendo should have gotten that job. La Russa, the guy who left the job, who retired from managing, that opened up that spot, said he wanted Oquendo to get that job. Oquendo deserved that job. And you still gave it to Mike Matheny. So since then, yes, the Cardinals have been in a complete state of mediocrity. They made it to one World Series in 2013. It can very well be argued, and I would argue it completely, that was still based on what La Russa did with the organization, not what Matheny has done with it. So, Yadier came back. Carlos came back too. Yadier is having trouble finding his stroke right now, but he's been out for a month, so he still's looking great behind the plate. It's actually kind of shocking that he's back this early. What the guy really suffered from was, the best way to put it would be a broken ball sack, because he caught a foul ball in the balls. In case you guys don't know how athletic protectors or cups work, there's still a little bit of a gap there that you can still get your nuts hit with a ball, especially if it comes up at you, which is what it did to Yadier Molina. Anyway, so yes, that's what happened to him. Martinez came back. He pitched 4 innings in his only start since coming back. Didn't look great, but didn't look bad. He especially looked a lot better than any pitcher that has pitched since then, other than Miles Michaelis today. So hopefully he can get back on track and get back to being the Carlos Martinez that he was at the beginning of the season when he had a sub-2 ERA. But in sad news for the St. Louis Cardinals, I mentioned this on Facebook last night. If anybody pays attention to anything I post, longtime Redbird, and I mean longtime Redbird, I mean you can name a position, and I don't mean necessarily in the field, I mean within the organization. Red Schoendienst, number 2, the former second baseman, former manager, former coach for many different positions on the field. Red Schoendienst passed away at 95 years old. Out of those 95 years, Red Schoendienst spent 70 of them, 70 years, wearing the birds on the bat. He is one of the all-time great managers, one of the all-time great ball players, one of the all-time great gentlemen in the history of the game. He will be missed, and as they said, or as Babe Ruth said in the movie Sandlot, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. He truly is a legend in St. Louis Cardinal history. He really is. He's going to be missed. He was there every spring training up until this spring training as a, I don't want to say necessarily an advisor, but as a instructor for the organization. He didn't make it this year. Earlier this year, they celebrated the 1968 National League Championship team that he managed. He managed also the year before when they won the World Series in '67 against the Red Sox, but they lost the '68 World Series to the Tigers. But that team had the best pitching of any team in history. They had the best single season by a pitcher in Bob Gibson of any single season in history. A lot of it was due to Red Schoendienst as the manager. A lot of it was also just due to Bob Gibson being that much of a badass. But let me see. Is my picture up? Oh, man. This computer is really starting to get on my nerves. Okay. I see what it's doing now. Anyways, so yes, Red is, again, 95 years old. Spent 70 of those 95 years in a Cardinal uniform. He will be missed. One of the true great men in the history of baseball. So I'm not saying that just as a Cardinal fan. If there's anybody that you know that's a real baseball fan that would remember Red Schoendienst, they'll tell you the same thing. Just all around one of the greatest men to ever step foot on a baseball diamond. So Red, rest in peace, buddy. So I've been telling you guys I am watching the Stanley Cup Finals right now. Being played by the Washington Capitals, my favorite team in hockey, and the Vegas Golden Knights, who are in their first year of existence. The Capitals have been around for 40-something years. Skull, yes! Capitals take the lead. 4-3. 7:37 left. If they can hold on to this, and they are the Stanley Cup champions for the first time ever. Oh man, and they are outside of the Capitals arena. It used to be called the Verizon Center or something like that. Now it's called, I guess, the Capital One Center. But yes, they are jumping up and down outside there. The nation's capital is a happy city right now. 7:37 left. Anyways, it just so happened to be that's when I decided to go ahead and start talking about the Capitals, right? So, and I don't even know who it was that had that goal. Wait, this computer is really starting to suck. Anyways, that was Lars Eller, a center. I think Ovechkin already has a goal on the night, and that's who I was going to talk about. Ovechkin is, in my opinion, and I've been saying this for years, the best player in the game right now. Is he as good as Wayne Gretzky? No, I don't think there ever will be another Wayne Gretzky. I think Wayne Gretzky was better at hockey than Michael Jordan was at basketball. I know a lot of you are going to say, oh, how dare you say that, blah, 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 whatever. Whatever, Wayne Gretzky was better at hockey than Michael Jordan was at basketball. But Alex Ovechkin, in my opinion, is the best player in the game today. I know a lot of people will say Sidney Crosby, but I really do believe it's Alex Ovechkin. He deserves a Stanley Cup. He's been with the Capitals his whole career, has never even made it to the finals. Like I said, the Capitals have never made it to the finals. So I am hoping above hope that he ends up getting his first Stanley Cup tonight. 6:52 left in the game. Again, the Capitals are now up 4-3. They've had 2 goals in this period, and they're showing some of the Golden Knights players who look down. And I don't know if you guys watched hockey at all. If you watched Game 4, it appeared that the Golden Knights had just run out of gas, and they had just thrown in the white towel. Tonight they came out looking pretty good, but right now the Capitals look like they are about 6 minutes and 45 seconds away from their first ever Stanley Cup. So I'm hoping that they do. I would love to see Alex Ovechkin hoist the cup above his head. I would love to see a title in Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is in one of the biggest sports droughts as far as championships go of any city. There's some that are worse off, but not many. The last time that the city of Washington, D.C. Had a championship was 1991. Or no, that was 92. I'm sorry. No, wait. Yeah, 90. It was the 91 season, 92 Super Bowl when the Redskins beat the Bills. So that was the last time that the city of Washington has been a champion in any sport. So I'm hoping that they hold out. I'm hoping that they can pull this off. We're under 6 minutes left to go in that one. I'll keep you guys posted as long as these shows still going on. Let's see. It looks like I got more people on than I thought I did. I'm not even sure if I have anybody on right now, though. Oh, it's someone else talking about Star Wars. Speaking of Star Wars, that's what I was going to tell you guys about, too. I'm trying to do now where I don't talk strictly sports. Bring up something every episode that's not sports related. Last week I talked about Star Wars and how I think they need to fire Kathleen Kennedy. Well, Friday night I went and saw Solo, and I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised by Solo. I thought it was a very good movie. It wasn't as SJW as a lot of people made it sound like it was going to be. Not nearly as SJW as The Last Jedi. The Last Jedi was one of the shittiest movies of all time. Definitely the shittiest Star Wars movie of all time. But Solo, you know what? I was impressed. Alden Ehrenreich played a pretty good Han Solo. There were parts of it where you were like, it doesn't feel like Han Solo, but a lot of parts where you're like, holy shit, that's Harrison Ford, only young. Donald Glover, I thought, played a really good Lando. He wasn't the pansexual that everyone made him out to be. It was just something that a droid was saying. I don't think that was necessarily meant to even suggest that he was a pansexual. Before this movie came out, I'd never even heard of the term pansexual. So, and even then, like I said, he's not one at all. He was Lando being Lando, who had a good friendship with his droid, which, guess what? You see that all the time in Star Wars. Luke and Anakin were both really close to R2-D2. Maybe not so much C-3PO, because C-3PO was a little bit annoying. But, and not to say that this droid in this movie wasn't. She was annoying, but she lasted all of about 5 minutes. So, not that big of a deal to me. I thought the rest of the cast were really good. Like I said, I thought Donald Glover played a really good Lando. I thought Alden Ehrenreich played a really good Han Solo. I thought Chewbacca played a really good Chewbacca. I thought Woody Harrelson was good in it, and the dude from Da Vinci Code, he was really good in it too. So, oh yeah, and the Mother of Dragons, she's hot no matter what she does. So she doesn't even have to be a good actress. She's hot. She counts. So she was in that as well. So all in all, it was a good movie. So I do recommend you guys going to give it a chance, going to see it. There's nothing wrong with that movie. It's not the shit show that the Last Jedi was. It was actually a really good movie. So, all right. So that is my take on Star Wars. Again, guys, one more time, we're going to go roll through what all I've talked about so far tonight, or talked about tonight, because the show's just about done. LeBron will be wearing a Houston Rockets jersey next year. The Cardinals need to fire Matheny, as I've been saying all year. I blame him for losing Alex Reyes after only pitching 4 innings this year. I blame him for the mediocre performance of the offense. I blame him and Mozeliak for bringing in substandard players that just aren't very good. But also, again, one more time, rest in peace to Red Schoendienst, one of the greatest people of all time to wear the birds on the bat. One of the greatest true gentlemen of the game of baseball. Again, died at the age of 95, spent 70 of those 95 years in a Cardinal uniform. So may he rest in peace. Great man all around. And then finally, yes, again, Star Wars Solo Star Wars movie was actually really good. I enjoyed it. So, all right, guys. If there's anything I missed that you got... Oh, wait, no. You know what? I was also going to talk about the XFL. I forgot about that one. Yes, real fast. There are rumors that the XFL might be having a team here in San Antonio playing at the Alamo Dome. I think that would be a great idea. San Antonio is, what are we, the 7th largest city in the country, I think? Something like that. The tickets won't be nearly as expensive as they are in the NFL, at least not at first. I think that the fans here in San Antonio, football fans, not XFL fans. I don't think that there's really any XFL fans right now because, well, it's not around yet. I think that a lot of people would actually go and watch it. You don't need to have a stadium like what they do up there in Dallas with all the luxury boxes. You don't need that like you would in the NFL. Alamo Dome is perfect for that. I still hate the Alamo Dome. I think it's a shit arena. I think it's the biggest waste of taxpayer money here in the history of San Antonio. But until they get something better, it'll suffice. There's a lot of football fans here in the state of Texas, a lot of football fans down here in San Antonio. I think San Antonio would be a great spot for an XFL team. I think it's a lot better of a fit for an XFL team than it is for an NFL team. But we'll see. They're supposed to launch, I think, in 2021. So it looks like McMahon is actually taking some time to think about this more than what he did when he started it the first time, which ended up being a total kerfuffle. Who doesn't like using that word, kerfuffle? It was a shit show. But, yeah, I think it's going to be a lot better this time around. I think he learned from the last time that if people want to watch WWE, they're going to watch WWE, not football. So, all right, guys. So now, yes, that's all for the show tonight. If you guys have any comments, complaints, suggestions, whatever, go ahead and leave a message. Also, I'm going to repost this show on YouTube. Again, I was shooting from the hip tonight. Didn't have any notes to read off of or anything like that. So if I missed a key point of any of the parts of the discussion that I was having, well, then that's why. Plus, I'm tired as shit. This was a long day. So, all right, guys. So, all of you out there, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday night. It's 10 o'clock, so there's not much left of it. Have a good Friday. I love you guys. I love all you guys. And as always, work computer. As always, guys, besos.